But across the Colorado, another society had arisen under a different flag. Caesar's Legion.
It's Hegelian dialectics, not personal animosity.
Fallout New Vegas is considered one of the greatest role-playing games of all time, and it's definitely one of the best games I've ever played. By today's standards, the graphics don't look so good, and the controls aren't great either. I mean, how's there not a sprint button? But nevertheless, it's still one of my favourite games. Where it really shines is in its storytelling, its world building, the factions, and the characters. And one of the most interesting characters in the game is Caesar, the ruthless despot that rules his legion with an iron fist. He is the sworn enemy of the new California Republic and plans to conquer Hoover Dam by crossing the Colorado River, mimicking the real Caesar crossing the Rubicon. While he is the game's evil option, he isn't evil just for the sake of it. He has a complex philosophy, and he not only believes that he's right, but that he's completely justified in what he's doing. So in today's video, I want to take a look at his character and break down what it is that makes him so interesting. I'm Firelink Frontier. On this channel I discuss films, TV shows and video games. If you want to support the channel and help it grow, please consider subscribing and liking the video. So let's get into it. I love the way the game introduces Caesar's Legion. It must have been tempting to show everything off all at once, but in the opening cutscene we see very little. The narrator tells the player about a society that's risen on the other side of the Colorado River, the complete antithesis of the new California Republic, or NCR for short. Caesar's Legion acts as a direct foil for the NCR. The NCR is a democracy, much like pre-war America, and is based on liberty and the rule of law. On the other hand, Caesar's Legion is a society of slaves, all working for the state. Caesar believes that service to the state is the highest virtue and that an individual has no value beyond his ability to the state, whether as an instrument of war or production. The game takes place 4 years after Caesar's Legion attacked Hoover Dam, trying to take it from the NCR. While the NCR was able to hold Caesar's Legion back, the Legion did not retreat and is once again amassing its strength in the east, and the Mojave Wasteland is poised for war.
The Legion did not retreat. Across the river, it gathers strength. Campfires burn, training drums beat.
That's all the information we're given initially. Even after we're dropped into the Mojave Wasteland, we don't see the Legion initially, we only hear the nervous words of the inhabitants of Goodsprings.
They're slavers, led by a guy named Caesar, or Caesar. Not sure how you're supposed to say it.
I hear rumors, that's about it. Supposedly they keep slaves and they got some real nasty ways of killing folks. But maybe that's just something folks in the NCR cooked up to make themselves seem more useful here. Less uninvited.
Slavers, killers, and all other kinds of trouble. They dress up like Roman soldiers, so there's no mistaking it when you see them. The rumor is that the Legion is far larger than the NCR lets on, and that it's been due to luck that the Legion hasn't overrun the territory.
Even the powder gangers are scared of the Legion.
I've run with some tough gangs, but I gotta admit, they all got nothing on the Legion. I hear they stick you up on poles and it takes a while to die. I ain't saying I'm afraid of them or nothing, but I'll be staying out of their way.
This helps build up a great sense of unease, much like the great films that build up their villains, like Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, or the Shark in Jaws. We're only given hints about what's to come, and it lets the imagination go wild with what could possibly make a gang of escaped convicts afraid. So who is Caesar, or Kaiser? Who is this man that everyone in the Mojave Wasteland seems to be afraid of? He was born Edward Sallow, and he was born near the Boneyard in the new California Republic in 2226.
Ironically, I was born a profligate myself, a citizen of the NCR.
Edward Sallow's father was killed by raiders when Edward was only 2 years old, and his mother joined the Followers of the Apocalypse for protection. The Followers of the Apocalypse are a humanitarian organisation that practices pacifism.
Ironic.
As Edward Sallow grew up, he learned how to read and was given courses by the Followers for free. He found that the Followers' doctrine was too naive. At the age of 20, he was sent east towards the Grand Canyon on his first expedition with a physician named Calhoun. Edward worked as an anthropologist and a linguist. It was his job to learn about the dialects of the tribes in the east.
What a fucking waste of time. If you think it's worthwhile to make smart people learn how to talk like backward savages, you're a follower of the apocalypse, or an idiot.
It was here that he met a Mormon missionary called Joshua Graham, who would later become the first legate of the Legion. Edward Sallow stumbled upon a collection of historical books, including the history of the decline and fall of the Roman Empire, and Julius Caesar's own book, Commentari de Bello Gallico, or Commentary on the Gallic War. He studied these books, and they changed his life.
Like I said, there's a lot you can learn from old books.
Edward, Calhoun and Joshua were captured by the Blackfoot tribe to be held for ransom. The Blackfoot were at war with 7 other tribes, and Edward could see that they would soon be defeated. Rather than allow the Blackfoot to be defeated, and most likely be killed alongside them, Edward chose to teach them how to use their weapons efficiently, how to make explosives, and he had them start drilling on small unit tactics. He did all this against the wishes of Calhoun.
It's one thing to be taken hostage, another to be lashed to a sinking ship. So over Calhoun's objections, I decided to take certain steps. I taught them how to use the guns they already had, how to strip and clean them, how to breathe when pulling a trigger, how to reload ammunition. They looked at me like I was some kind of a sorcerer. So I taught them how to make explosives and started drilling them on small unit tactics. If there's anything I learned as a follower of the apocalypse, it's that there's a lot of good information in old books.
Before long, he was leading the tribe. He used the doctrine of divide et impera, or divide and conquer. He led the Blackfoot against the weakest tribe, the Ridges. Until now, the tribes had only been playing at war, but Edward used extreme measures to instill fear in them.
When they refused to surrender, I ordered every man, woman, and child killed. When next we surrounded the Kaibabs, and they likewise refused, I took one of their envoys to the Ridgers' village and showed him the corpse piles.
The Kaibabs and Fredonians soon joined Edward, but he knew they needed a united identity, and the tribe's individual identities needed to be eliminated.
I knew from the start I'd need to eradicate this plague of tribal identities, replacing them with a monolithic culture, a uniform identity. So that's what I did once my confederation of tribes was large enough. I crowned myself Caesar and created a single great tribe, my legion.
He based the identity on Imperial Rome that he'd read about in the old books. He used Imperial Rome as a template, as it was so strange and alien to the Mojave. He sent Calhoun back west to warn people not to interfere with him. Joshua Graham, the Mormon missionary he'd met in New Canaan, acted as his right-hand man. He became the Legion's first legate. Decades passed, and Caesar's Legion expanded into Utah, Colorado, and had the entirety of Arizona and New Mexico brought under his control. All the conquered tribes were forcibly assimilated into the Legion. Caesar declared himself the son of Mars and established his capital at Flagstaff. He became known as the conqueror of the 86 tribes. Caesar's Legion did not meet any serious defeats until their confrontation with the NCR at Hoover Dam. When Caesar failed to take Hoover Dam, he had his legate, Joshua Graham, covered in pitch, set on fire, and thrown into the Grand Canyon. Many of the elements in the game mirror elements of real-life Rome. Caesar, for example, parallels Julius Caesar himself. Julius Caesar, who upon returning from his conquest of Gaul, crossed the Rubicon River to conquer the corrupt Roman Senate. This mirrors Caesar, who has conquered the 86 tribes, and wants to cross the Colorado River to conquer the corrupt democracy of the NCR. Caesar wants to establish a Pax Romana, or Roman peace, which is based on a period of relative peace in history in the Roman Empire for roughly 200 years, between 27 BC and 180 AD. With the great versatility of Fallout New Vegas, the player could just run to the New Vegas Strip, but the first time the player will usually come across Caesar's Legion is in Nipton. Here we see the Legion's so-called justice. The player meets Oliver Swanwick, who tells the player he's won the lottery.
Yeah! Who won the lottery? I did! Smell that air! Couldn't you just drink it like booze?
It's only when we enter the town we understand what he's talking about. The town is in ruins, and its inhabitants have been crucified. Here we meet Vulpes Inculta as he emerges from the town hall. He is one of Caesar's Frumentari, an elite group within Caesar's Legion that act as scouts and infiltrators.
Vulpes, is the best of my frumentari, a remarkable individual from an unremarkable tribe south of the Utah. Whatever I require, infiltration, assassination, dramatic atrocities to break the spirit of the enemy, etc. They're mentally flexible. They operate behind enemy lines for extended periods, imitating the enemy's customs without becoming sullied. In all these things, Vulpes is a master.
They carry out tasks aimed at destabilizing and disrupting the Legion's enemies. Vulpes tells the player that the people of Nipton agreed to lead those it sheltered into a trap.
Don't worry, I won't have you lashed to a cross like the rest of these degenerates. It's useful that you happen by. I want you to witness the fate of the town of Nipton, to memorize every detail. And then, when you move on, I want you to teach everyone you meet the lesson that Caesar's Legion taught here, especially any NCR troops you run across. But the depths of their moral sickness, their dissolution, Nipton serves as the perfect object lesson. Nipton was a wicked place, debased and corrupt. It served all comers, so long as they paid. Profligate troops, powder gangers, men of the Legion, such as myself. The people here didn't care. It was a town of whores. For a pittance, the town agreed to lead those it had sheltered into a trap. Only when I sprang it did they realize they were caught inside it too.
They held a lottery to see who should survive. None of them spoke up as their loved ones were dragged away to be killed. Vulpes did it to teach a lesson.
Yes, and herded them to the center of town. I told them their sins, the foremost being disloyalty. I told them that when legionaries are disloyal, some are punished, the others made to watch. And I announced the lottery. Each clutched his ticket, hoping it would set him free. Each did nothing, even when loved ones were dragged away to be killed.
This mirrors a form of military discipline in the army of ancient Rome called decimation, where every 10th man in a group was executed by the other 9/10ths. This is also the method Caesar uses to select his Praetorian guards.
My Praetorians embody the martial ideals of my legion. Each one of them has done enough conquering and killing to deserve the rank of Centurion. Instead, I invited them to join my guard. So the invitee chooses whichever current guard he thinks is weakest and challenges him. The fight is to the death. It keeps them from getting complacent.
The game allows the player to agree or disagree with Vulpes.
It has a stark beauty, doesn't it? I'm glad you can appreciate it. Now go, and teach them what you learned here. There will be more lessons in the days ahead.
Once the player reaches the strip and deals with Benny in the manner they wish, we then meet Vulpes again, who tells us that Caesar wants to speak with us. He tells us to go to Cottonwood Cove to take the ferry to Caesar's fort. Along the way to the strip, we also learn a little more about life in the Legion. We can learn from Boone that women are kept in subservient roles. They are not permitted to fight in the military and only serve the Legion in their role to bear children.
Yeah. What they do to women, that's worse than death.
If the player's character is female, the ferryman, Cursor Lucullus, will remark that it is particularly strange that Caesar would like to see someone from outside the Legion, especially a woman.
To my knowledge, this is the first time Caesar has ever summoned one of the dissolute to see him. That it would be a woman is even more surprising. Women are physically and intellectually inferior to men. Their role is to bear children and ensure the survival of our species. Not to say that all women are equally incapable. I trust Caesar will find a worthy use for you.
He also tells the player how the outside world is viewed.
All who are not Legion are dissolute. They live in squalor, unrestrained by morality, lacking moderation, temper, and self-control. Their very existence is a blight on the common good. Even worse are the profligates, the subtype of dissolute one finds this side of the river. They hold themselves to be civilized, when in fact they are corrupt and self-interested. The truth will be made clear to them soon enough.
A female courier also cannot fight in the arena. Who the player chooses to play as actually affects the game, unlike a lot of other role-playing games. When we finally meet the infamous Caesar, He comments on the player's actions. This is something I love in good role-playing games, where our actions actually affect the game, and NPCs comment on it. If we have chosen to help Caesar, he will be impressed.
So, I finally get to meet the courier who's caused so much trouble for the new California Republic. You spread word of the massacre of Nipton, just like Vulpes asked you. Beams of light shot down from the sky over Helios 1, killing who knows how many profligate troops. Silas, the Kenturian, who let himself get captured, died at McCarran before he could reveal sensitive information. The monorail that the profligates rode from McCarran to the Strip has been destroyed. You turned Camp Forlorn Hope into a mass grave. I get it. We share a common enemy. And now you come before the mighty Caesar. To what? Offer your services?
Whereas if we have foiled his plans, he will be furious.
You're the courier who caused so much trouble for my legion, and yet you dare come before me. The garrison I established at Nelson has been wiped out. Years of meticulous scheming to place a mole at Camp McCarran. Wasted. So tell me this, because I really want to know. I am feared, with good reason. But you, of all people, dare to come here and stand before me, the mighty Caesar. What were you thinking?
It's here Caesar explains himself. He tells the player about his backstory, and he tells us his thoughts on the NCR. As I've said, there are parallels between the corrupt Roman Senate and the NCR. Its original leader, Aradesh, led the NCR and was followed by his own daughter, President Tandy, who led the NCR for 52 years. This hardly sounds democratic.
Do you want my opinion as a former citizen or future conqueror? Actually, my opinion's the same either way. As a young man, I was taught to venerate President Tandy of Shady Sands, the founding mother of the new California Republic. Did you know her presidency lasted 52 years? And that her father, Aradesh, was the Republic's first president? Does that sound like a democracy to you? Or a hereditary dictatorship?
When the player remarks that she was voted in each time, he explains that it was because she was so popular among the people.
Because the council didn't dare oppose her. She was too popular. She had the people's love. So things ran smoothly, more or less. And as soon as she was gone, as soon as there really could be democracy, what happened then? Ever since losing its queen, the NCR has been weaker, more diffuse. Democracy has been its weakness, not its strength.
He explains that in the NCR, there is rampant greed, the government is corrupt, and it accepts bribes from Brahmin barons and landowners to the detriment of its citizens. He says that it's a loose conglomerate of individuals looking out for themselves, and that no one cares about the collective or the greater good.
Shut it!
He believes that his methods are justified in the post-apocalyptic world.
I'd seen what had become of the NCR's attempts to emulate the culture of pre-war America, the infighting, the corruption. Rome was a highly militarized autocracy that effectively integrated the foreign cultures it conquered. It dedicated its citizens to something higher than themselves, to the idea of Rome itself. In Rome, I found a template for a society equal to the challenges of the post-apocalyptic world, a society that could and would survive, a society that could prevent mankind from fracturing and destroying itself in this new world by establishing a new Pax Romana. It means a nationalist, imperialist, totalitarian, homogenous culture that obliterates the identity of every group it conquers. Long-term stability at all costs. The individual has no value beyond his utility to the state, whether as an instrument of war or production.
He believes the NCR is destined to fall. On the other hand, he believes that the Legion is built to last, as he has established a single identity. He acknowledges that the NCR is a genuine foe, unlike the tribes he's defeated before. It's also the first enemy that he's been ideologically opposed to.
Of course, the most powerful my Legion has faced. Also the first to which I am ideologically opposed. Until now, every tribe I've conquered has been so backwards and stunted, enslavement has been a gift bestowed upon them. My conquest of the Mojave will be a glorious triumph, marking the transition of the Legion from a basically nomadic tribe to a genuine empire. Just as my namesake campaigned in Gaul before he crossed the Rubicon, so have I campaigned and will cross the Colorado.
He also acknowledges that conquering the NCR will change the Legion as well. This process can be described by a philosophical method called Hegelian dialectics. It was developed by German philosopher Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel.
No, I'll destroy it because it's inevitable that it be destroyed. It's Hegelian dialectics, not personal animosity. How do I put this basically enough? It's a philosophical theory, the kind you might encounter if you took time to read some books. The fundamental premise is to envision history as a sequence of dialectical conflicts. Each dialectic begins with a proposition, a thesis, which inherently contains or creates its opposite, an antithesis. Thesis and antithesis. The conflict is inevitable, but the resolution of the conflict yields something new, a synthesis, eliminating the flaws in each, leaving behind common elements and ideas. The bombs wiped the slate clean. Human civilization descended to a level of ignorance that effectively set our cultural progress back to zero. The NCR has all the problems of the ancient Roman Republic: extreme bureaucracy, corruption, extensive senatorial infighting. Just as with the ancient Republic, it is natural that a military force should conquer and transform the NCR into a military dictatorship. Thesis and antithesis. The Colorado River is my Rubicon. The NCR Council will be eradicated, but the new synthesis will change the Legion as well, from a basically nomadic army to a standing military force that protects its citizens and the power of its dictator.
He believes that New Vegas will be the Legion's Rome. It's then up to the player to decide whether to side with Caesar or not. If the player does, Caesar will conquer the Mojave and push the NCR back west. The Legion will occupy all major locations and enslave much of the population. How Caesar will treat the various factions of the Mojave Wasteland will in part depend on the actions of the player once they've chosen to side with him. So what would likely happen to Caesar's Legion after the game? Mr. House believes that upon Caesar's death, the Legion would eventually break down. This is similar to what happened to the Mongol Empire after the death of Genghis Khan. However, Caesar's Legion is slightly different. Caesar's Legion is unified into one single culture, but it's also unclear how he rules his own cities. I wish we could have seen some of Caesar's own lands, back east, to learn more of what they would be like.
No, sir. I'm an independent trader from Arizona. Not at all. They're my best customers. As long as you don't try to sell them chems or alcohol, they treat you fair. Hell, I don't even need to travel with guards most of the time in Legion territory. All the bandits are dead or run off. Between having to hire protection and getting slapped with taxes, it's more profitable to stick to Arizona and New Mexico. But I do cross the river from time to time when an opportunity comes along.
But it's still pretty insane that Obsidian developed Fallout New Vegas in 18 months. Perhaps if they had more time, this would have been more fleshed out. Fallout New Vegas has aged very well. As I've grown older, I've come to appreciate it even more. When I was a kid, I enjoyed the game, but as I've learned more and more about history, politics, and philosophy, I've come to love the game even more than I did. It's all made me understand the game at a deeper level, with the NCR representing democracy and liberty, and Caesar's Legion representing dictatorship and collectivism. It also has Mr. House, representing a kind of independent, capitalist autocracy. This really is one of the great games, and Caesar is such an interesting character. Despite being the game's evil faction, he has a well thought out philosophy that he believes justifies his actions. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at his character further. I'm Firelink Frontier. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to support the channel, please consider subscribing and liking the video. Thank you for watching.